Hi, I'm Rich Kutchma with Strategic Self-Reliance and Defense, and in today's video we are going to continue the TCCC or Tactical Combat Casualty Care series. Specifically, we will be finishing up the M part of the lecture in the March PAWS acronym. If you remember, March PAWS is just a way for us to remember the priority list, the order of treatment during the tactical field care phase of TCCC, and the M stands for massive hemorrhage. The reason M is first is because massive hemorrhage control, stopping bleeding, is the #1 priority in combat trauma management. All right, so last time we talked about hemorrhage control through the use of tourniquets for extremity bleeds. Today we're going to cover pressure dressings and hemostatic dressings. Just a reminder, when do we use these, right? So a pressure dressing like the Israeli dressing, Israeli bandage can be used pretty much anywhere that you can stop bleeding with just pressure, right? So an extremity bleed, an arm or a leg that you don't need to use a tourniquet, if you can successfully stop the bleeding with a pressure dressing, great, use it, right? You can use a pressure dressing over a junction, junctional bleed, arms to torso, legs to torso. Potentially a pressure dressing could work for that, right? It's just applying compression against the bleeding vessel so that it stops the bleed. Your hemostatic dressings are simply stopping bleeding, hemostatic, right? Stop bleeding, right? Quick Clot is one company. They produce the Combat Gauze. It's probably the biggest name in hemostatic dressings out there. Vacuum packed. They call them Z-packed. They're not a roll of gauze. It's kind of folded like a boom, boom, boom. So they come off like folded out like a Z. But basically, they're just impregnated gauze. They're gauze that are impregnated with a chemical. In the case of the Quick Clot products, they're impregnated with a product called kaolin. Kaolin, basically, keeping it simple, helps your body to clot more efficiently, right? Your own body's clotting system works better when it comes in contact with this chemical, right? The product's called, this is a different manufacturer. This is C-Lox. C-Lox A is this one. There's another product called X-Stat, right? These different companies use a different chemical. They use a chemical called chitosan to impregnate their gauze. Now, this isn't gauze. This is actually a syringe of chitosan granules, C-Lox granules that could go into a wound. But I'm just showing you for the name, C-Lox. So the chitosan is a different product, different chemical. It's actually made from the from crustaceans, shrimp, and other sea life. And chitosan basically absorbs the fluid from the blood, swells drastically, gets sticky, sticks together, and forms an artificial clot. So kaolin helps the body's natural clotting mechanism. Chitosan forms its own artificial clot. So that's how those two work. All right. All right. So again, we mentioned junctional bleeds. You can pack a wound that you can't get with a tourniquet. We talked about this in a video or two ago. So junctional bleeds, you can't get a tourniquet there, you pack it. Could also be for a torso wound that's bleeding. You get in there, abdomen, chest, you pack that wound with the dressing as well. I'm going to give you a demo on that here in just a second. Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about the hemostatic dressings, okay? So remember, hemostatic dressings have a chemical impregnated. They stop the bleeding, so we need to pack this wound, right? So I've given you, this is a good training tool you can use. It's just a foam noodle. There's your nice clean bullet wound. And we have to pack this because your blood's just pouring out of it. I'm not going to open my Quick Clot because these are like $40, but I'm going to pretend with just a simple gauze. So pretend this is this. All right, so you open the package, obviously. Again, that's Z-wrapped. This is in a roll, but think about it. This guy's bleeding. If you can, wear gloves. You want to wear personal protective equipment. If there's blood splashing around, maybe you want to wear some goggles, eye protection. So here's your hemostatic gauze. Now, some people, I will tell you, they tie a little knot in the end, and I'll do that for you here. I don't typically do that, but the idea is it gives you a little bit more bulk, right? Gives you a little bit more pressure that you're going to apply on that bleeder. Ideally, when you're looking down into that wound, if you see the vessel that's bleeding, you want to, I'm wearing gloves, you want to get down in that wound and put that knot right on top of the bleeder. You want it as close to the bleeding vessel as you can get it, right on top. And you put pressure, right? You put pressure down, and then you can just keep stuffing dressing in there. So as you're stuffing the wound with that dressing, you want to be reaching around for all the voids, because remember, we get that pressure wave inside the body, inside the soft tissue, and it doesn't just cause a small hole, it causes a pressure wave which disrupts tissue. You want to get into all the voids, and you want to just keep stuffing dressing until you've got it completely packed. Right? And it might take you, in some wounds, it might take you two rolls of, 2 sets of hemostatic dressings. And you're getting into all the voids, all the sides, all the corners. Now this one will never completely fill up because it's a hollow noodle, but so let's say now you're completely full, you can't get any more in there. Make a little mound and compress. Compress, compress, compress. 3 to 5 minutes. No looking, okay? 3 to 5 minutes. And then with any luck, that hemostatic dressing's done its job. 3 minutes, 5 minutes go by, you let up, you see that there's no more pooling of blood. Now you can wrap it with gauze, put a pressure dressing on it to help hold pressure, and you're good to go. All right, pressure dressings. So again, pressure dressings are just a dressing that gives you the freedom to let go, right? If you want to hold manual pressure, manual direct pressure, you certainly have that option. But now you're kind of tied up. So a pressure dressing, like the Israeli dressing, that's probably the biggest name in them, allows you to apply pressure and walk away and do other things. Right. The idea here of the Israeli dressing, I've already opened it. Now, a note about the Israeli dressings, there's 2 packaging. There's the outer packaging and then the inner packaging, but this is my training dressing, so that's long since discarded. But no, that'll have an outer package and inner package. There are instructions on the back. Tells you kind of which side down. You'll see there's a big gauze pad here, so I'm pretending my wound is right here on my lower leg, just below the knee. Right. So you would open this. Basically, all these pressure dressings, what they do is this one has this cleat. And as you tighten it, the cleat pushes down into the wound, allowing for direct pressure, providing direct pressure. I could do the same thing if all I had was an ace wrap. I could put a wadded up ball of gauze and then wrap the ace wrap around it. That ball of gauze is adding direct pressure down, right? Same idea. So there's different ways of doing it. There are different companies that make pressure dressings. So this is the Israeli, but a fairly quick demo here. Hopefully this one stays together because it's been used a lot. So again, my wound is right here. Again, you got PPE on you, gloves, maybe glasses so you don't get blood in your eyes. The gauze goes right over the wound, and you wrap. When these are new, they have a little stitching that keeps it from unrolling on you. Mine's no longer has that. So you want the cleat essentially right over the wound. Okay? So in my case, I said the wound's right there. So you get that, pull it tight. Put your gauze or your dressing through the center, and I'm going to try, hopefully this doesn't fall apart because this has been used a lot. And you pull opposite. And what that does is it applies direct downward pressure. Now see, mine's starting to come apart. But you wrap over it, and you just keep wrapping. You wrap, and I can already feel, remember, you're not too tight. You're not trying to create a tourniquet here. It's not a tourniquet, but that cleat, because it's thick and bulky, same idea if I had a ball of gauze, just creates pressure on the wound. It's kind of like holding manual pressure. All right, when you get to the end of the gauze or the end of the dressing, there's these two little wings. Yeah. See if you can see it here. You kind of just terminate the dressing this way. You put, let's see, where's my end? One little end in each, boom, and it's on. That is your dressing, okay? I can feel the pressure right there going straight down into the wound. And you just have to reassess, make sure it's not bleeding. If it's bleeding, you can't control it with pressure, then tourniquets. All right, so that's pretty much it for today. Today's video, we showed you a little bit about hemostatic and pressure dressings. Again, there's other products out there. There's not just Quick Clot and C-Lox and Israeli. Lots of products out there, so do some research. Figure out what you can afford, what you want to put in your kit, what you get used to training with. All right. So again, next video we'll continue with the March PAWS series, and I guess we'll be up to A. We'll finally get off of M. We'll go to A. A is airway, so we'll cover that next time around. So until next time, again, I'm Rich Kutchman with Strategic Self-Reliance and Defense, and I hope to see you in class. Thanks for watching.